did just a slight rollback there. Oh, holy crap. I'm going to go ahead and... Right, welcome back everybody to another episode of now Teslafy full self-driving beta version 10.69.2.3. It's a kind of a mouthful. Strange update, but I just got that today. I don't think anybody was really expecting that to come. Everybody was probably assuming that we'd get 10.69.3, which is supposed to be coming in another couple weeks. But at any rate, slightly different path to our loop here, but we should be able to still make the loop no problem. I've heard good things, and I've heard some other folks that say that there's been some regression, so that's going to be interesting to see. Got Brett here with us today, and yeah, so we'll see if we see any improvement. So far, my biggest gripes with the last version, 69.3.2 or 69.2.2, right? Oh my gosh, is the stopping short and then still creeping a little bit too far. So that's not a terrible distance, but yeah, it's still gonna have to creep. We get the creep fence, which is nice, at least again for the pilots to know what it's thinking.
That was good. I'd say that was pretty smooth.
Yeah. So that has been what I've heard about this version, is that it is smooth, continuing to be a lot more smooth and polished. So love it. I will take that all day.
Even the individual, like the creeping used to be a little bit more stop and start, and that was a pretty solid, just smooth creep up to the line. That was nice.
I'm also loving the right side hugging on these non-lane marked roads. It used to just sit right in the middle prior to 10.69.2. So that's been fantastic. Like this road I've done a few times. Haven't videoed it much, but it would be right in the middle, and then of course it's even more awkward when you've got somebody coming. So it's awkward lane positioning as it's choosing to move out here, and now we're just like slowly deciding whether or not. Okay, so I mean there wasn't any traffic coming, so I kind of let it be goofy, but I don't know why it was awkward there. So one of those weird things.
Yeah, well, it's kind of an awkward spot on the road anyway, but so seeing as it just kind of randomly ends into a pile of bushes.
Okay, so yeah, we can go.
Nice
Smooth right.
Buttery.
So, I don't remember, Brett, if you and I have talked about it, but my last video, it did the Pybus challenge. It made it all the way to Pybus.
Seriously? It didn't get stuck on that weird corner?
No, it went all the way through. So, I fulfilled my promise and went in and bought some Mike's Meats to celebrate.
Yes.
We got some juicy hamburgers for the family, so, and some beef jerky, of course, and yeah, so that was that's awesome. So we'll see. That's our destination again today is Pybus. Let's see if it will get there. But it made it once, so it should be able to just do it again.
Was these beef jerky sticks here a condolence, since we're going to go to Pybus and I'm not going to be here for free beef jerky?
Possibly. That was like a good part of. I went on a Tesla Owners of Washington drive up my neck of the woods, or actually more your neck of the woods. We went to Winthrop.
Oh yeah.
So a bunch of folks from Seattle and a couple of folks from Spokane came over. So finally I didn't really have to go anywhere for those. So they all met here, very centrally located Washington, and so we're going to get our stop here. So I'm wondering what it's going to do, like mid-street. I might actually cancel it. But anyway, so yeah, went up there and got to stop at Hank's and get some beef jerky.
Yeah.
Or some pepperoni sticks.
Beef sticks in the land.
All right, so I won't count that because that was just our spot where I was trying to get it to continue navigation, continue trip. There we go. And then we'll let it re-engage here. All right. Now we're back at the back on track for the loop. So, yeah, Hank's up in Twisp has some of the best beef sticks. So,
yep, and the Mounted Animal Nature Trail.
That's right. All throughout the store.
All throughout the store.
All right. So last time it's also been really getting close to this. It's still way too close. Way too close.
Did you catch it right there, or did
I didn't have to intervene. I didn't have to adjust it. Luckily, like when there's cars there, like stopped at the light, it's fine. But a number of times, if there's a car coming in the opposite lane, it has crossed that yellow line.
It's weird. Which those lines are pretty clear.
Yeah, they're clear. I used to give it a pass this last winter, saying, "Oh, it's probably the lines," but now the lines are nice and painted and shouldn't be an issue whatsoever. But it is. So that's still it did it, but it's still way too close for my comfort and probably the other driver's comfort. Yep, and this was another thing in the last update. It, for whatever reason, stopped there. So I'll report that.
Do you think it's because of the intersection, or do you think it's because it's seeing some of these hazard signs?
No, I don't know. That's a new thing in this last version, that it will, for whatever reason, slow way down at that intersection, even though it's totally. And I'm going to go ahead and intervene here as well. Use the accelerator, because it doesn't, for whatever reason, even though it's a four-way stop, it likes to creep. And it shouldn't creep at a four-way. It knows its turn. It should just go and take its turn. So that's just a weird, which is going to be changing. That's going to be a light here in a few weeks or something.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so it won't have
okay.
Won't be a test for beta anymore.
Drat.
So there was my first, I'll call it second actually, I guess, that other intersection just above there. So two interventions, not disengagements, going slow. All right, so now we're gonna have to get into this other lane. So you gonna do it, Beta?
It's doing it. Is it gonna go?
Yeah. So luckily
it's doing it.
This guy behind us was kind enough to just let us in, which isn't always the case in Wenatchee, as I'll remind you. If you're new to the videos, that spot is can be hairy.
I was curious if it would do it just with the solid white line or not, but just curious how much it pays attention to.
It's supposed to.
Yeah, but apparently it knows that spot's a little too short. Maybe it's gauging it based on speed or something.
So we're getting a gimme here with this because that semi's blocking the roundabout traffic from entering. So
have you said last time that you haven't had really a good test of that. Was this yet again another?
My last video actually was phenomenal with it. Whoa,
really?
We're gonna be changing lanes? Okay. You do it, Beta.
Huh.
That's the first time I've seen it change lanes here, which is fine. We're still on track. Yeah, so that it's been tested. My last video, it did perfectly. Like,
really,
pulled
up, yielded, and everything. That's actually kind of a hard spot, even when you're a person there, because you have to look. I mean, you got to look pretty much straight back.
That was exactly what I said in my video. Is like that's like a prime example of how Beta can be superior to human driving in that instance, because we really have to crank our neck where it knows 100% all the time what's in front and what's back there. Yeah, back there.
Way back
behind us.
Yes.
It can see all around the car all at once, where we can only see our field of vision, right? And then also in that same video, you should go check it out. I'll put a link to it. There was a pedestrian that started this crosswalk here too, and it fully obeyed that, which,
really?
As it should. It had the lights on and everything, but it was the first time I encountered that in this trip, so.
Has it done roundabouts? Have you had it actually go through that roundabout? We have done it on the way back, right?
Roundabouts. Yeah. Okay, so now changing lanes again, sort of in an intersection, although it was a closed construction intersection.
brake at all for those folks. Last time when we were people on the sidewalk, it was slowing down even for people just kind of marching along.
Yep. Yeah, I have. That's the other thing I've noticed in the last version as well, is that, and Elon even mentioned that it's supposed to be really, like, even more cautious than usual around pedestrians, which, you know, better err on the side of safety, right? But it can certainly be irritating when you as a person can pretty much gauge they're not going to do anything, they're not going to get in the way. Like, I had it stop one time where somebody was like just coming around the back side of their car to get into their truck, and it stopped pretty good.
Oh,
it was like,
okay.
Totally just, you know, or getting into their trunk, right? Like, yeah. Normal activity, but it thought that perhaps the person was getting into the traffic lane
or something. Going in.
Something, yeah.
Man, so far still doing really good.
Yep, so far smooth. Another thing I've mentioned in the videos too is that four-way stop back there where I had to intervene. Coming back, it's not an issue at all. It does it perfectly nearly every time, but it's just for whatever reason coming down. All right, coming up to the Pybus challenge, which hopefully isn't a challenge anymore. We shall see. We do have kind of like this parked car here that's in the lane. I'm going to let Beta do its thing, and
it's kind of deciding.
Yep. All right, so that guy was really crappy parked.
Random pedestrians.
Some pedestrians, yep. So you should dive over into the other lane now. Come on, don't regress. Don't regress. No. 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 Oh, well, the Pybus challenge is still a challenge, so we're turning like we're supposed to, and that's a dirty shame. For the sake of it, I think we're going to do a quick loop and see if it does it.
Yeah, just give it another shot at it.
We'll give it another go. But, oh man, oh my gosh, how irritating would that be? Like, seriously, you guys should go back and watch that video, because it was pretty impressive.
Was there much rejoicing?
There was much rejoicing. It was like it did exactly what it's supposed to. But then there's a fun surprise right after it worked. So yeah, definitely go back and watch that video. It's worth a watch.
I need to watch it.
Let's see what the map planner is. It gonna it's gonna want to go on the Ave. So I'll re-engage after we get past the avenue. So I want to give it full opportunity from mission to do it.
And it really doesn't take much time to engage it either, does it? Like, as soon as you tap that button, it immediately hung over to the right, knowing that it needed to turn. It's impressive how quickly it reacts to that.
Yep. All right, so
took a free right.
Good free right, yep.
Yeah.
And in the appropriate lane. I've had some other troubles with it choosing the correct lane when making a right or left onto a one-way. All right, so take number 2. Again, because it did it last time without any issue. Will it make it? It's flying down
this road, and it is looking like it's not going to do it.
Nope. So whatever logic they inputted into the last time, now at least is it going to at least make it right?
It's look at the noodle on there.
All right,
it's going everywhere.
So we'll call that a regression. That's quite unfortunate. It is what it is.
Drat.
Gosh, it was like, the one thing I've been testing for nearly a year, and it still couldn't quite do it. All right, it did it, and then now has regressed in just the dot version.
One minor update.
Oh. So Yeah. I'll probably be reporting that back to Tesla. I'm sending a manual notice. Gosh, it's disappointing. Because once it makes it, it actually adds a few other interesting, like this intersection down here and this other intersection below. There's some interesting things with the driving path there. Yeah. That was strange.
Yeah. Well, it was funny watching the driving path back there in that intersection. It was still, when you took over, it was still flipping.
It's still trying to decide.
Flipping back and forth. Like, no, you're halfway out in the intersection now. You can't just suddenly swing over there.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. All right, so here's another kind of advantage that perhaps you could say that Beta has over people, is that sunlight, direct sunlight, should not hinder its vision. Although, holy crap,
I'm going to go ahead and... It got a little aggressive there.
So that was just as I was trying to defend it. That was not good.
No, that would have been an accident.
Well, although, you know, I didn't want to let it play out.
Yeah.
There is a chance that it might have done what I just did, where it kind of waited in the middle of the lanes but I think the better move would have been to wait for traffic. So
yeah, not a great spot to go nosing in. I've seen plenty of accidents there.
And actually, that particular intersection in almost all my videos has had strange things like that, where it anticipates more than maybe I would. So I've had people make a left in front of me. Okay, so we've got...
Now we're kind of stuck.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if it's gonna...
bridge from here. Unless it's gonna
try.
It's trying to convince
We'll see if
somebody
people will let us to get in.
This guy next to us looks like he might be given enough room. Yeah, he's given enough room, arguably.
He's gonna do it. There we go.
Ah, okay.
All right, he let us in. Again, another spot where not a lot of people would let us in. And it really took its sweet time getting into that lane.
I was not convinced he was going to leave that opening.
Yep, same. Anyway, that intersection has been strange in the past as well. But coming up to the next big challenge in my test loop that seems to have trouble with every time.
All this fun corner up here where it tries to change lanes.
This exit, yep. So generally, it will try to dive over into this left lane, like it's going to do. Luckily, it can. That lane is clear. But it will then promptly dive over into the right lane to make the exit, which it doesn't need to. This is the correct lane. It should be in this lane because this lane also exits the same exit we want. But if it tries to cut off this Honda, which it's going to try and do. So I'm going to disengage that one, and so this is what it should do, is stay in this lane and not try and move over into that right lane. So that's I think the other big thing with my test loop is if it's able to make that exit staying in this middle lane.
Yeah.
I don't know, from what I understand, it doesn't take too much consideration into the trip planner, like how far it kind of knows, like where it needs to go, like its turns, etc., but it's not anticipating those that far in advance. At least that's what my experience has been, is that it doesn't do any anticipation of lane decision before too far before it actually needs to make that decision,
which is probably fine. I mean,
well, it's there's so much better interactions or least path of resistance, I would wager, if there was, if it did choose an appropriate lane before it actually got to the spot where it needed to make that decision.
Mm-hmm.
And that exit off the bridge is the prime example.
Gotcha.
Being in that center lane so it can stay there and not have to do lane shifting is like not only the right thing to do, but also it has to do less, right? It has to not interact with traffic as much. And that's how, again, I don't know if that's something that's not programmed, but that's something I think about. You know, it's like I always anticipate, okay, I'm at this exit, or I need to take this left up here, so I'm gonna try and get over to that lane as soon as I can. So that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I'm not having to do as much lane shifting.
Yeah, it definitely does seem to make, now that you mention it, you know, it does make those decisions about, it knows what lane it needs to be in, like where we were trying to get on the bridge. Like, it knew we were going to need to be in the right lane, but it made that decision way later when there was traffic versus making the decision ahead of time when there was obvious openings we had there before we got to, way before we got to that point where we needed to merge in.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I guess you're right. That is a bit of an issue.
Well, that was weird. Did just a slight rollback there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, back in the, like when I'd been in a manual, right, it would like roll just slightly and you stop. I've never had it do that before.
Wonder if maybe it was.
It's not too far out.
Yeah,
I don't think it's too far out.
Looking at the stop line, I don't know that it would have needed to roll, like from how much it rolled back. I don't know that it would have needed to roll back any. It wouldn't have been sitting on top of the stop line.
Semi.
Yeah, right.
For the horse trailer.
It was pretty close. Close enough. Generally, the acceleration seems like it's been a little bit better this time around, though. Last time we rode, it definitely gunned it a few more times than I was expecting it to. Like, it had this tendency to take corners like this and then immediately just like, well, there, did it again.
that felt appropriate.
That was a little bit. That
though.
was pretty okay. Before, it seemed like on some other corners, the last time we rode, that it definitely came around corners and then just.
Although I don't know why, the limit here is 30, max is set to 32, and it blazes up to 37.
Yeah.
So that is a bit odd, but you know, actually it's not. It's something that I would do. So
it's been learning from you. That's another thing I'd be curious about is if do they include any learning type things where it's like if you drive the same, like it seems to me like if they see the same, or didn't you say there was some sort of AI or something coming behind it soon that was going to be able to like filter some of that type of stuff?
So there's, to answer the immediate question, is there any learning? I don't think that there is, like the habitual stuff. Like from my understanding, it doesn't retain any memory of what you do or how it reacts in certain situations. I think it's pretty much like RAM. Like it's just it's doing its thing at the time and making its decisions in real time, not necessarily based on previous routes. Whether that's a good idea or not, I'll let the experts decide that. But so at this point, I don't believe that is a function that's built in. This drive. I think unfortunately it feels like it's kind of par for my loop. Like I'm back to, it's doing the things that it has always kind of gotten wrong. And even to some degree throwing in that intersection. You know, I'll probably run that loop again, one or two more times just to see if I can get it to repeat like that four-way stop at the bottom of 9th Street and that little intersection just above 9th Street to see if it pauses there again. Those are newer behaviors that it hadn't really had a problem with. But still back to not being able to accomplish the Pybus challenge at the intersection, the bottom of Rondo. That's unfortunate, and still obviously having the issues with the exit off the bridge. So, you know, I didn't expect much from this build simply because it is the 10.69.2.3. So it went from .2.2 to .2.3. But Elon says that 10.69.3 is coming out in a couple of weeks, I think, and is supposed to have more set of significant improvements. And I think he was he was mentioning that he even though it's staying with the 10.69, he wanted to keep the 10.69 thing going, but it's more significant than that as far as a dot release goes. So I'll be looking forward to that, but so far I will say that, yeah, seems like a par for the course drive. Really nothing special, nothing that hasn't done before or haven't had issues with before, and no real bad regressions. That weird intersection as we were coming back from Pybus onto the avenue where it tried to make the left. That one was rough. I'll watch the footage of that again, but it wasn't a good decision, I think, on the whole. Could it have made it? Maybe, but that didn't give it the pilot any good indicator that that was a safe decision. I couldn't tell if it had the gap measured correctly to make that left quick enough. And maybe it could have. Again, it could be just pilot confidence type of thing. So anyway, I think that will do it for this video. Thanks everybody for watching. We'll catch you next time. Now Teslafy.